Microsoft co-founder and billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates is urging the federal government to shut down the entire country to save lives. So far, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has donated $100 million to fight the coronavirus. They're focused on detection, isolation, and treatment of the virus and finding a vaccine. Gates says the U.S. failed to get ahead of the outbreak, but it's not too late to make up for lost time. You've been saying for a long time that we're not prioritizing testing. Who should be leading the way here?
Well, the federal government needs to set the priorities because we have a lot of people who are just worried who would like to get a test, and if we had infinite capacity, that would be great. And so as many as half of our tests are going to the people they shouldn't, and that's causing you to have to wait often 3 or 4 days, even if you're a healthcare worker, to get that result back.
Back in 2015, you warned that we were not ready for the next epidemic. Why aren't we better prepared?
Well, in fact, very little investment was made. For example, being able to ramp up diagnostic capacity very quickly. Our foundation and some other governments did work on some new vaccine platforms, which are the most promising. But, sadly, because you can't estimate the risk, and it was something I was, trying to talk about and, thought we had some engagement on, but then actually the personnel in this area were cut back. I think this time people understand that this is a trillions of dollars event. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of lives on a global basis. I think now people understand why those alarms were raised, and that for the next one, we will be far more ready than we were for this one.
Ultimately, did the federal government fail on being prepared for testing?
Well, I'm sure there'll be lots of postmortems about, why before this hit didn't we do more? Why, right when it hit didn't we do more? It's most important to be looking forward and saying, are the number of tests growing? Is the speed which they come back less than 24 hours? And are we testing the right people? We're still not there, and so let's get that fixed, and then we can, maybe a year from now do the deep postmortems.
You also talked in 2015 about the potential economic consequences of this. How concerned are you about the resiliency of the American economy?
Well, the economy is being hurt. It's great that Congress has acted. We probably will need to do more there. But the economy can return in a way that people who get sick and die cannot.
You've been in touch with leaders in Washington. Have you talked with the president about this?
I've not talked directly to the president. Our foundation is trying to be as helpful in a very constructive way as possible, and that's why I've talked to the head of the pharmaceutical companies. We've talked to a lot of the agencies, including CDC and NIH, about how we work together on the vaccine and the drugs.
Is there anything that's really surprised you about what's happened?
I thought we would respond a bit faster. What we're doing, how we're having to change the economy here in order to drop the number of cases, it's really unprecedented. Even the issue of once you get the case numbers down, what does opening up look like? Which activities like schools have such benefit and can be done in a way that the risk of transmission is very low, and which activities like mass gatherings may be, in a certain sense, more optional. And so until you're widely vaccinated, those may not come back at all.
Do you think we're going to think about pandemics differently from now on?
Well, that is for sure. There were a few movies, they weren't that popular about this, and to make them at least a little bit popular, they usually had some miracle happen at the end where some hero, invented something and boom, everything was back to normal. No, the awareness of this is a threat, and probably the biggest threat to, kill tens of millions of people. That will be permanently embedded. So this time I do think we will get ourselves ready for the next pandemic.
Have you had any trouble getting adjusted to social distancing at home?
Yeah, I find it so disconcerting to wake up every morning and think, well, that was a strange dream I had, and then say, oh my God, yes, look, there's no traffic on the bridge, and oh yeah, my first meeting is on that computer screen, and somebody's going to leave some food, but I won't see them. This is super dramatic. I use computer screens a lot, and I think about pandemics a lot, and even so, I can hardly believe we're in this situation.
Gates says he thinks we could feel the effects of this well into the summer, and the economic effects could linger for perhaps as long as 2 years, depending on how comfortable people are mingling together until we have a vaccine.
No, Anthony, I think we are forever changed by this on so many different levels. I was fascinated by Bill Gates' answer when you said, did you think the government, did they not do enough? His answer was very diplomatic, but clearly he saw something in 2015. I marvel that he saw something back then.
He laid out the threat very clearly then, Gayle.
Yes, yes. He's a very smart guy, has a lot of experience. I'm thinking of Bill. Anyway, I might take that call if he's offering his services.
I'd be calling him.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you can hear my extended interview with Bill Gates on CBS This Morning's podcast, or watch it at cbsthismorning.com.